ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್, ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಕೈ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಕೈಯಿಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಅವ್ನ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗು, ಅವ್ನ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನು, ಅವ್ನ ರೀಸನಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವೈಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನು? ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಏಮ್ ಆರ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್. ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನು? ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಕೊಡೋ ಮತ್ತು ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ನ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ ಅವ್ನ ಇಂಟೆಲೆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಪವರ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವೈಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನರಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಬಲ್ ಈ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮತ್ತು ಏನು ಕಲಿತಾನೆ ಅದು ಅವ್ನ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ರಿಲೇಷನ್ ಟು ಆರ್ಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಟೀಚರ್ ಆದವರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಪೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅದನ್ನು ಸರಿಯಾದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಚಂದವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದು ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಪ್ರಿಷಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದಾಗ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಣ್ಣವನ್ನು ತುಂಬಿದಾಗ ಅದು ಕಲೆ ಆಗಿ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅವನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕಲೆ ಆರ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅವ್ನು ಕಲಿಬೇಕು ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಅವನಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಟೀಚರ್ ಆದವರು ಯಾವ ಮೆಥಡಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಅವ್ನ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಪವರ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಟ್ರೈನಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಟೀಚರ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಯಮ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಗ್ಯಾಲರೀಸ್ಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಆರ್ಟ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದ್ರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ, ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕರ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಸೈಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಟೀಚರು ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ 50 ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ 1 ಅವರ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಈ 30ರಿಂದ 40 ನಿಮಿಷ ಅವರು ಈ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೂ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಟೀಮ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಯಾ ಟೀಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 5 ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಮಗು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಪವರ್ಗೆ, ರೀಸನಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಬಿಲಿಟಿಗೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಉತ್ತೇಜನ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹಳೆಯ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಲರ್ಸ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಬಲ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ಬಾಟಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಇರಬಹುದು. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಡ್ರಾಯಿಂಗ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕಾರ್ಟೂನ್ ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಲರ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿರಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಸಿಸರ್ಸ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಏನು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೋ. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ವಾತಾವರಣ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೋ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೋ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಐಟಮ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎಕ್ವಿಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಸಿಸರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬ್ಲೇಡ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಥರ್ಮೋಕೋಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಬಾಕ್ಸಸ್ಗಳಿರಬಹುದು. ಎಕ್ವಿಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಂದರೆ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಐಟಮ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಏನೇನು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದು ಟೀಚರು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಗಳು. ಗಮ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಗ್ಲೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಪ್ಲರ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಆ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 40 ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕೂರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಆ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಏನೇನು ಆ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನೀರು ಪೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೂ ಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಕುಡಿಯೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಏನೇ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಏನೇ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಗೂ ನೀರು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರಾಗಿ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿರಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಟೂಲ್ ರ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಇಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ವುಡನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವರ್ಕು ಮತ್ತು ಮೆಟಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವರ್ಕು ಕೂಡ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅಂಥ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಟೂಲ್ ರ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ಯೂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಬರೀ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವುಡನ್ ವರ್ಕು ಕಲಿಯುವಂಥವ್ರು ಮತ್ತು ಮೆಟಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಕಲಿಯುವಂಥವ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಬೋರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಏನೇನು ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕೋ ಏನೇನು ಸ್ಕೇಲೋ ರೂಲರೋ ಏನೇನು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಇಡೋಕ್ಕೋ ಕಬೋರ್ಡ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಬೇಕು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏಡ್ ಔಟ್ಫಿಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏಡ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಏನೇ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದರೂ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏಡ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ರೂಮ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟನ್ನ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಥರ ಚಾಯ್ಸಸ್ಸು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಅಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಆರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ಮನ್ಶಿಪ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್. ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇದನ್ನು ಯಾವ ವಿಷಯವಾಗಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದಂದರೆ ಪೇಪರ್ ಫೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್, ಕಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೌಂಟಿಂಗ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಪೇಪರ್ ಹಾಳೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕರ್ಷಿತವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಪೇಪರ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಡಿಸೈನಾಗಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮೌಂಟಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಗೆ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡೆಲಿಂಗ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಮಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಕರ್ಷಿತವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆ್ಯಪಲ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬನಾನಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟಾಯ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಟಾಯ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಗೊಂಬೆಗಳು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಟಾಯ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ಬಹುದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಹತ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಿಸೋದು ಹೇಗೆ, ಈ ಫೈಬರ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಸ್ಟಿಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಟಾಯ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಗೊಂಬೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಅದು ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಪುಟ್ಟದಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಮಿಡಲ್ ಹೈಸ್ಕೂಲ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಮಿಡಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಹೈಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೊಡ್ಡವರಾಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ಬಹುದು ಅಂದರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೆಚ್ಯೂರ್ ಮೈಂಡೆಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವೀವಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ವೀವಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸನ್ನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹೇಗೆ ನೂಲನ್ನು ತೆಗಿತಾರೆ, ನೂಲನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಲೂಮ್ ಕಡೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಚರ್ಸು, ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗು, ಡೈಯಿಂಗು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಜುಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನೀಡಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಸೂಜಿ ದಾರ ವರ್ಕು, ಅಂದರೆ ಟೈಲರಿಂಗ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಈ ಸೂಜಿ ದಾರ ಎಂಬ್ರಾಯ್ಡ್ರಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಕ್ರೋಶೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟಿಚ್ಚರಿ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಟಿಚ್ಚಿಂಗ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಸು ಕೂಡ ಆಕರ್ಷಿತವಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಬರಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಇದೊಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಮಿಡಲ್ ಹೈಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಕೋರಿಲೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಅದರ್ ಹೈಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಹೈಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಪಡಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಥಡಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇಂಪ್ರೊವೈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ಗೆ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಗಾರ್ಡನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೆಲವು ಹಾಸ್ಟೆಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವರ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಗಾರ್ಡನಿಂಗಿಗೆ ಎಂಕರೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಬರೀ ಕಲಿಯೋದು ಅಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನರಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಗಾರ್ಡನಿಂಗ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಗಾರ್ಡನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೇನು ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು, ಅದೇನೇನು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸರೀಸ್ ಬೇಕು, ಸೀಡ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾ, ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟಿಂಗ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಗಿಡಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನು ಹೆಸರಿಡಬೇಕು, ಸೀಡ್ ಡ್ರಿಲ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಬೀಜ ಬಿತ್ತಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಜಿಯೋಗ್ರಫಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ models of relief of countries, mountains, canals are only some of the subjects taken at the application lesson given to the topic. Geography related ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಿಗೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಥರ ವಾತಾವರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೇನು ಥರ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬೆಟ್ಟ ಗುಡ್ಡಗಳಿರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆಗೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಪಡಿಸ್ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಸೀನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಚೀಫ್ ಈವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ, ಕಲರ್, ವುಡ್, ಕ್ಲೇ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ವೆಪನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ಸ್. ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವೀಗ ಕಲೆನೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಪೇಂಟಿಂಗೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಮೋನಾಲಿಸಾ. ಸೊ ಆ ಮೋನಾಲಿಸಾ ಪೇಂಟಿಂಗಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ನಾವು ಈಗ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋವಂಥ ಪೇಂಟಿಂಗಿಗೆ ಹೋಲಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಜುಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಡ್ರಾಮಾಟೈಸೇಷನ್. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಎರಡೂ ಕೂಡ ಸೇರಿ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ ಮೊನಾಲಿಸಾ ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಬರೆದ್ರು ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಒಂದೊಂದು ಪೇಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಬರೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಕೂಡ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೋರಿಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನಾವೇನು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ಒಂದು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕೂಡ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಮೆಟಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ತೂಕ ಗಾತ್ರದ್ದು ಮೆಟಲ್ಲು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೈಟು, ಎಷ್ಟು ತೂಕ, ಎಷ್ಟು ವೆಯ್ಟು, ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ವರ್ಕಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಹ್ಯಾಲೋ ವರ್ಕಾ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಗಟ್ಟಿ ವರ್ಕಾ, ಅಂದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ವೆಯ್ಟಾ, ಫುಲ್ಲು ಕವರೇಜ್ ಬೇಕಾ ಅನ್ನೋ ಮೆಟಲ್ ವರ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹಲವಾರು ರೀತಿ ಕೂಡ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ವುಡ್ ವರ್ಕಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ, ಹ್ಯಾಲೋ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ, ಫುಲ್ ಫಿನಿಶ್ಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ, ವೆಯ್ಟೆಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಡುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಇದು ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಅಂದರೆ ತ್ರಿಕೋನವಾಗಿ ಬೇಕಾ, ಬರೀ ಮುಂದೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬೇಕಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದೆ ಕೂಡ ರೌಂಡ್ ಫಿಗರ್ ಬೇಕಾ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹೈಟಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾ, ವೆಯ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೋ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡು ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ದ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಇಸ್ socially useful productive work. It means SUPW. Then what is the meaning of SUPW? What is socially useful productive work? Here, for harmonious development of child personality, it is necessary to expose him to socialistic areas for intellectual development, as well as put him in situations where he can get opportunities to work with his hands and develop proper attitudes towards manual labor. In addition, there is an urgent need to bridge the gap between the world of school and the world of work. If not controlled, the gap will widen further due to the modern technological developments and the increasing technology based society of the future. The processes and skills of work are changing. An early institution for children into these is possible only through work experience of socially useful productive work. Hence, the Education Commission made a strong case for introducing work experience as an essential component of general education at all stages of social education. The work experience or SUPW approach should permeate the entire curriculum. SUPWಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ವರ್ಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ fields of self-employment and how to improvise in themselves, means the innate values of themselves should be created and originated from themselves only. Then what are the scope of SUPW, means what and in which areas and why it is done and why it is covered. So what it makes the students from within themselves as the basis of development of knowledge, skills and attitudes are useful for later participation in productive work. SUPW covers production, maintenance and technological process, as well as human relations, organization and management and marketing. The areas of work chosen should have local significance and should be such as to develop the competence of the students. It is not just learning to work, it is the work education, means how to work. We are in this we are not going to teach about how to work. It is nothing but practically the students will be involving and get their practice of education, that is called work experience. What is the history and how it is originated, this SUPW, how it is originated? Let us know the historical review of this. Ancient India. The concept of manual work as a tool of education was recognized long before the advent of formal education. In ancient India, when the students used 10 leave in their schools, ಆಶ್ರಮ್ ವಿತ್ ದರ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಗುರೂಸ್, ಆಗಿನ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಗುರುಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗುರುಗೆ 10 ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಿದ್ರು. and had to do every kind of manual work for living and learning. ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಗುರು ಹತ್ರನೇ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕಲಿಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೋ ಅದನ್ನು ಕಲಿಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡುವಂತಾರೋ ಆ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಅವರು ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ವಾಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ದ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಬೋಧನೆಯೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಜೀವನೋಪಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮೂಲ ಬುನಾದಿ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ, ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. It is between the education and work was not exciting. The next, during the British period, when formal education was introduced in the country, education became bookish. It started preparing students for white collar jobs. There were no provisions for manual work in formal education. This limitation was pointed out in Wood's Education Dispatch, which contemplated the introduction of pre-vocational education at the secondary stage. But practically, not action was taken in this direction. Wood and Abbott also stressed the need of manual work in education for the sake of harmonious development of child's personality. Then, during pre-independence India, deploring the ineffectiveness of bookish education, Rabindranath Tagore also stressed the role of manual work in education for all-round development of the child. Mahatma Gandhi insisted for the first time that education should center around manual and productive work. This proposal was accepted at the Varda National Education Conference in 1937. It was given a practical shape by Zakir Hussain Committee. Basic education was accepted as the national pattern of education at the primary level in 1938. Then this was all before independence. Then after independence, what is the historical review of this? In 1966, Kothari Commission, it suggested that work experience should form an integral part of general education from class 1 to 10th. The commission also clarified that the concept of work experience was essentially similar to the Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of basic education. It might be described as a redefinition of his thinking in terms of the changes in society due to the development of industrialization. Consequently, great emphasis was given to work experience in the new 10th plus 2 pattern of education. The next is Ishwarbai Patil Committee, June 1977. It pointed out that work experience, which was intended to be an integral feature of the curriculum at the stage, did not find a proper place in teaching learning process that followed the introduction of new pattern. This committee recommended a scheme having three components: humanities, science, and work, socially useful productive work, and community services, together with aesthetic appreciation to eliminate the curriculum. The next is Adiseshayya Committee. It accepted the concept and objectives of socially useful productive work SUPW as defined by Ishwarbai Patil Committee for plus 2 stage with a minor modification. The next is the National Education Conference, December 18 to 20, 1977, held in New Delhi under the chairmanship of Sriman Narayan. In recommended that 50% of the total school time ought to be devoted to productive, creative, recreational activity, at least half of which should be focused on SUPW of various kinds. It also urged, as did Patel Committee, that the existing burden on students of textbooks, due to a large number of compulsory subjects should be reduced proportionately. Then let us know the objectives of SUPW, why the students has to get their work experience and know the society of the world of school. The objectives has to be known, why the students should know all this. To prepare students to practice and perform manual work individually and collectively. Means the individual, he should have his self conscious, he can do the work individually. That mindset has to be prepared in the students. To acquaint students with the world of work and services to the community, and developed in them a sense of respect for manual workers. To develop a desire to be useful members of society and contribute their best to the common good. To indicate positive attitudes of teamwork and socially desirable values like self reliance, dignity of labor, tolerance, cooperation, sympathy, and helpfulness. To help in understanding the principles involved in various forms of work. To lead children to participate increasingly in productive work as they go from one stage to education to another, and therefore enable them to earn while they learn. To provide opportunity of creative self-expression and for development of problem solving abilities. To provide for the development of vocational preparedness. To develop in the students as awareness of social problems and inculcate in them positive attitudes towards community service. The next is SUPW syllabus. The syllabus should be flexible. It should depend upon the local needs and facilities available. It should have three components: study of the world of work through observation and inquiry, experimentation with material, tools, and techniques, work practice. The first two components concern with preparation of actual participation in productivity, work, and service, make the common core program of SUPW. The third component, that is work practice, may lead to remuneration or earning. The purpose of Common Core program will be to bring about attitudinal changes and to develop a readiness for work practice. The purpose of work practice is to give a vocational basis to the program. Areas of SUPW syllabus means what are the areas that are covered in this SUPW. That is, first is health and hygienic, food, shelter, clothing, culture and recreation, community work and social service. Regarding these areas, only these areas that are covered. Based on these areas, the children are educated and they are taught how to improvise in these fields and how to get work experience relating, and experimentations are done in these fields and they will be practiced in this field, and they can take that experience to their future as a and they can be a self-employed as well in these fields. In this we will be going through, that is middle level from 6th standard to 8th standard. The first is common core programs. What are the common core programs? Means basic informations will be given for them relating, that is health and hygienic, dusting of furniture, cleaning of classroom, science, laboratories, school building, the school compound and its vicinity, food, vegetable gardening or pot culture, cooking of meals, shelter, construction with plastic and rigid materials, maintenance of articles of use, clothing, spinning and simple hand weaving or knitting, clothes, stitching, etc. Cultural and recreation, recreating the classroom, preparation for important national days, festivals, and school functions. Next is Community work and social service, cleaning the neighborhood, planting and care of shade trees, running of cooperative stores, the school panchayat, helping adults in protective work. The next is work practice. Means while working, the students have to practice with all these. The project may be selected according to the need and interest of students and availability of time in each class from the following list. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೈಜಿನಿಕ್. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಮಗುಗೂ ಅವನು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಅವನು ಸ್ವಂತವಾಗಿ ಅವನ ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು, ಅನುಭವನೂ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟ ವಿಷಯಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವನು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ತನ್ನ ಬುದ್ಧಿನ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವುದು ಅಂದರೆ ಮೊದಲನೇದು ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೈಜಿನಿಕ್. ಅವ್ನು ಹೆಲ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು, ಹೈಜಿನಿಕ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೂತ್ ಪೌಡರ್, ಸೋಪ್, ಡಿಸ್ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಡಿಟರ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಪೌಡರ್, ಹೇರ್ ಆಯಿಲ್, ಬ್ರೂಮ್ಸ್, ಪೇಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಬಾಸ್ಕೆಟ್ಸ್, ಡಸ್ಟ್ಬಿನ್ಸ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏಡ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸಸ್, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ posters, scrapbooks on health and hygienic, keeping health records, keeping the neighborhood clean, working at health centers. The next ಫುಡ್ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಆಹಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಯೋದು, ಅವನ ಜೀವನೋಪಾಯಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ಲ. ಗ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್, ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪಾಟ್ ವೇರ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್, ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಫಾರ್ ಸೇಲ್, seed collecting, soil testing, experimentation with the different kinds of soils, different types of seeds, different types of manures, vegetative propagating by grafting of propagation by breeding, vegetative propagation by grafting, vegetative reproductivity, layering, soil conservation, making of jam, jelly, ketchup, sauce, pickles, fruit juices, confectionaries or bakery items, working in canteen or stalls for a specified period, packing of food material. The next shelter, making stationery items while washing, polishing doors, windows and furniture, canning chairs, repairs of furniture, casual labor work in the school. The next clothing, spinning, making school bags, school uniforms, handicrafts, handkerchiefs, tablecloths, pillowcases, knitting, making mats. And in culture and recreation, tool making, artificial flower making, pottery painting, making games material, greeting cards, fancy covers for book and book binding, fancy candle making. The next, community work and social work, helping adults in their work as projects such as keeping a specified area clean, helping in the case of the sick, first aid, helping at functions and during festivals, traffic control, helping in the literary campaign. The next is secondary level from 9th standard to 10th standard. For secondary level, at this level more emphasis should be given to work practice. ಮೊದಲನೇದು ಕಾಮನ್ ಕೇರ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಇನ್ ದ ಕಾಮನ್ ಕೇರ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ರಿಲೇಟಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಸ್. Then in the secondary level, actual practice should be involved, it should be executed. Activity may be selected according to the need and interest of students and availability of time in each class from the following list. Health and hygienic, growing medicinal plants, eradicating of communal diseases, paramedicinal diseases, cleanliness of the neighborhood, well and pond and the dispose of the garbage, construction of toilet facility, composite pits, making toothpicks, tooth powder detergents, disinfectants and etc. The next in food, agro industry, kitchen gardening, pot culture, crop and seed production, repair of farm implants, soil conservation, desert control, horticulture, animal husbandry, dairying, beekeeping, poultry farming, fish culture, distribution and fertilizers and insecticides, processing and preservation of food, hydroponics, mushroom culture, cooking, bakery, marketing, packing foods, pickles, jam, jelly, etc. Then related to shelter, pottery, manzuri work, workshop practice, mechanical, electrical, electronics, bamboo work, blacksmith, woodwork, carpet weaving, village home town planning, minor repairs and building, fittings, furniture, etc. Then related to clothing, production of cotton, wool, silken and other fibers, weaving, dressmaking, knitting, embroidery work, dress designing, leather work, spinning of different fibers. The next related to cultural and recreation, making toys and puppets, making and repairing musical instruments, making games material, printing, bookbinding, photography, stage craft, making costumes, holding exhibitions. Community work and social service, identification of problems relating to health and hygienic, supply of drinking water, and adult literacy, rendering help in solving these programs, helping teachers in tackling school dropout problem by visiting houses of children and finding out their difficulties, motivating the people in slum and unhygienic areas to maintain cleanliness of their surrounding by joining hands with them in cleanliness campaigns, helping the illiterate people in the community by way of writing letters, filling in application forms, and reading telegrams for them, helping in road construction and digging of well in the community and their maintenance. During natural calamities involving students in the relief work, help the people in the affected areas, serving the sick people in the community, tree plantation, carving the soil erosion, canal repair and maintenance. The next, for senior secondary level, from 10th standard to from 11th standard to 12th standard, common core programs, the work done in the previous classes should be further extended at this level. Work practice, it should include mass production of work done previously as community and social work. Subject related suggested SUPW activities. Physics, gaining the basic knowledge about how to prevent electric shock accidents, giving the knowledge about how the lightning and the thunder occur and what are the uses of lightning and thunder, giving an idea about how we receive the sound from the radio, which is relayed from the radio station, preparing hot water with the help of solar heat energy, giving the knowledge about how to produce artificial rain, giving an idea of how to get electricity from the water and the steam, giving the basic knowledge about how to operate the machines like washing machine, grinding machine, electric cookers, etc., giving the knowledge about how the sound is produced from various sound instruments, giving them the basic knowledge and practice about electronics and electrical gadgets. The next is chemistry, preparation of soap and washing soda, explaining the use of Dettol, phenol for cleanliness, preparation of tincture, iodine, and simple ointments for wounds, preparation of dyes, explaining the preparation of bleaching powder, explaining the equipping techniques and uses of gobar gas plant in the houses, making use of animal waste, explaining the uses of preparation of ammonium nitrate, explaining the fixation of nitrogen, explaining the uses of insecticides, demonstrating the methods of purifying water, giving them the basic knowledge and practice about various processes involved in photography. ಸೊ ಕೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಏನೇನು ವಿಷಯಗಳಿರುತ್ತೋ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಕೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ಥರ ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್ಗೂ. ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬಯಾಲಜಿ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೋದು. means what are the biology related projects that can be uh, make that we can make students do. Helping the farmers to get rid of insect pests, learning methods of vegetative propagation, introducing modern techniques in incubation in poultry, practicing the way of getting in uniform fruiting and blossoming through simple techniques, using chemicals, harmonious leathering of economical important animals, making them aware of economic zoology, providing them the knowledge of crop rotation, helping them to know about the various source of nitrogen manure in the form of nitrogen yielding plants, legumes, and easily available cultures to increase the yield, making them aware of contamination, giving them the basic knowledge and practice about various processes and techniques involved in gardening. ಸೊ ಬಯಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಎಜುಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಥಾಟ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಬಯಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಥಾಟ್ ಟು ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ 11th to 12th students. Then levels of evaluation work in SUPW by the teacher. The teacher should note the behavior of the children and the skill learnt by them during SUPW activities. By the children, the students should maintain diary of the daily work and experiences gained along with their reactions. By the parents and community members, the parents and the community members involved in organizing SUPW activities should be consulted while assessing students' behavior and participations. Next is tools of evaluation. ಹೇಗೆ ಎವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು? ಮೊದಲನೇದು ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್. ಎ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ SUPW ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್, ಇಂಡೋರ್ ಆರ್ ಔಟ್ಡೋರ್. Observation. Not only the product, goods or services, but also the process and the quality of learning needs to be evaluated, for which observation is a reliable technique. Self-evaluation. Self-evaluation of their work by the students may lead to some exaggerated in the beginning, but if persisted in will turn out to be a very reliable tool of evaluation. Written test. Written examination in SUPW may cause some disadvantage. Assessment therefore should be take for the form of demonstration, viva walk, examination of product or service. Feedback from parents. Parents and guardians may be able to give valuable feedback of their children's work. SUPW at home. Feedback from community members. In case of community service projects, the assessment by the beneficiary may also a good source of evaluation. That is Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, New Delhi, grade A, excellent 70% and more, like that, like grade A to G. The next is need of work experience. Kothari Commission recommended work experience as an integral part of education. The following are to be needed: bringing school close to the society and community. Through work experience among members of their society and community, students come closer to the society and community. They understand the difficulties of other person and try to remove them. Primary of activity experience in place of bookish knowledge. Since the beginning of the formal education, bookish knowledge is being emphasized in Indian education system. New government policy 1986 lays emphasis on work experience so that the educated men and women may become self-dependent. Self-education. Work experience provides self-education without books. Literacy alone is not education. An educated person may be able to fulfill demands of life task. Self-dependence. Work experience makes boys and girls self-dependent. They are able to earn their living. Earn while learn is a slogan which lays emphasis upon the pupils earning to meet expenses of his education. This is very popular nowadays, particularly in Western society and among pupils pursuing of higher education without any financial help from their families. Encouraging skills of work. The best method of knowing is through doing. Skills cannot be developed without work experience. Work experience selected to individual traits provides vocational opportunities. Development of total personality. Personality development requires cognitive and affective development, reduces cognitive efficiency. Therefore, work experience is needed for total development of personality. Reducing gap between intellectia and labor class. Dignity of labor alone can hedge the gulf between the intellectia type and the labor class. The next is adopting useful hobbies. Without work experience, pupils work their leisure time in useless pursuits. Work experience provides them opportunity of adopting useful hobbies such as gardening, growing vegetables, clay work, painting, etc. Creative work awareness. Progress in any field of life requires awareness among pupils. Provision of work experience in early education creates such awareness. Knowing productivity. Productivity is concerned with production, consumption, and sales, etc. Through work experience, pupils learn to the life means to be productive, increasing nation's productivity. Work experience in early education make boys and girls productive, thus increasing total productivity the nation. Coordinating theories and practices. Theoretical knowledge in any field is lame without its actual practice in daily life. Work experience is needed for coordinating theory and practice. These are the need of work experience points. The next is importance of work experience at elementary school stage. What is the meaning of work experience here? Experience that is obtained through work is experience. You can also call it is a technique through which work and education are correlated. It means work, that activity which is productive. Work experience in education is that activity which developed a tendency for productivity. Means while educating you are gaining experience. Means working in the field of education you are gaining experience by teaching to the unknown, and how to teach them is the method of experience. It is called work experience. They will not always be dependent on their own experience. They will learn many things on self experience. ಇದನ್ನು work experience ಅಂತಾರೆ. So, in vocational education, one does not employ the latest technology and scientific methods. Through work experience, one may learn use of modern methods in productive activities. One may learn how to bring out productive activity on modern lines. This will ultimately enhance the rate of production in factories, mills, and elsewhere. Next is importance of work experience at elementary school stage. In that, development of skill. Work experience should not only be related only with productivity, rather it should aim at developing a skill for productivity. The next is self experience. Work experience should give self experience to students which would satisfy his interest and aptitudes. Modernization. As the student has to employ latest technologies at and the scientific method in work experience, it develops a tendency towards modernization. A smooth path is paved for the society imbue modern culture. Self dependence. Work experience makes the student self dependent to a certain extent. He may earn for himself for a part of his expenses of education. Vocalization. Work experience vocalizes education. Community development. As work experience makes the educational institution a center of community development, it meets some needs of the community. Material gain. By education imparted through experience, both the student and the school may gain materially through some products of daily use. Daily use? They are means they can make use of it. What are those? Making education a part of life. Introduction of work experience in education is likely reform or stereotyped education system. Through this education will become a part of life as emphasis learning by doing. Introducing sense of dignity of labor. Work experience develops a sense of respect. Students for manual labor, as each has to do some labor, they may bridge the gap between the labor and the intellectual class. Developing community consciousness. Work experience developed community communal unity. School imparts education according to the needs of the immediate community. This develops a relationship between the school and the community. An attempt is made sometimes to find out community problems through work experience in school. Solving problems of unemployment. Education based on work experience may solve problem of unemployment, as the student is able to learn some trade business which makes him dependent when he completes his education. Utilizing natural resources. Education based on work experience teaches us to utilize the natural resources intellectually. Contributing of natural prosperity. The student becomes more skillful and more contributing more to the growth and natural prosperity through work experience. The next is importance factors in work experience. First one, work experience centered education. Work experience cannot be accepted as an independent subject of study. It will have to be integrated with all the subjects of study. It cannot exist by its own. Total education has to be made work experience center. Teaching for work experience. For the success of work experience, one will have to make the total atmosphere of the school favorable for it. For the suitable textbook will have to be prepared. Teachers will also have to be trained on new learns lines for this purpose. Teachers training colleges will have to revise their courses for the preparation of work experience teachers. According to the stages of learning, work experience method may be freely utilized up to the secondary level of education. Work experience method is not possible at the pre-primary stage because at this stage the young children lack the necessary coordination between the movements of their hands and feet. However, they may be given sensory training which may equip them for some sort of work experience. At the primary stage, children may be taught some mechanical activity in order that hands and feet become suitable trained for using certain implements later at the secondary stage. The next is problems and remedies of work experience. What are the problems in the work experience and what are the remedies that are related for the problems will be discussed here. First problem is determination of aims. People assign different aims to work experience. While some take as it a means of creating the trait of productivity, others think that it should develop the capacity for production. So, what is the remedy for it? The aim of work experience should be dependent or principle of work experience. One does not aim to make the child an artisan by developing in him a capacity for production. Its purpose should be to develop the virtue of productivity in the child. When he develops the virtue in himself, make production also in due course. Next problem is suitable and trained teachers and guides. Indian training colleges provide teachers to impart theoretical instruction to children. These teachers are unsuitable for giving education based on work experience. Theoretical ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. It is therefore there are multi-purpose schools that have not succeeded. Similarly, our work experience based education may not succeed in the absence of suitable teachers. What is the remedy for this? Suitable training teachers ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. Keeping in view the implication of work experience, we have to prepare such trained teachers and guides who impart education based on work experience. They should establish a close relationship between general education and work experience. The next is a lack of interest and motivation for work experience. Education based on work experience requires a close relationship between education and practical work. As work is more trying than play, it is possible that the child will not take interest and lack motivation in education based on the work experience. In such a situation, it is not benefited by education through work experience. What is the remedy? Creative tendency in the child keeps him active. The interest and capacity of the child should be taken care while organizing education through work experience. The next problem, incorporation of work experience in the curriculum. What should be the various aspects of work experience? How to plan them? How to incorporate them into the curriculum? The purpose of work experience will remain defeated unless these issues are satisfactorily decided. What is the remedy? First of all, one should decide program of work experience according to the mental level interest, aptitudes of children. Afterwards, these should be organized in logical and psychological manner for incorporation of the curriculum. Next problem is instruction and method of work. Work experience may be obtained only through doing. Manual labor and social service are necessary for this general education. The objective of work experience cannot be obtained through lecture method. In this context, correlation and free methods may be useful. Remedy for this: in the correlation method, one gives instruction in various subjects around the work experience as a nucleus. The subject which cannot be taught through correlation method may be left for free method. In the free method, the student is left free for obtaining experience in the workshop. Next problem is necessary teaching materials. Due to the capacity of financial resources, it has not even been possible to transform secondary school into multi-purpose school. Therefore, the objective of vocalization of education have not been realized. Remedy: the work experience should be related to vocalization of education, which requires organization of necessary material, equipments, and laboratories. Next is problem of evaluation. The current system of examination is subjective. It cannot be useful for evaluating the progress of students who have learned through work experiences. These requires devising objects and rating evaluating devices. Remedy: the product or the productivity of the student should be accepted as the basis of evaluation. This requires practical examination, laboratory experiments, and oral and written examination all taken together. The next problem is unfavorable attitudes of guardians towards work experience. As the guardians have not fully understood the importance of vocalization of education, so they react favorably against work experience. They do not like to get their awards admitted to their schools. Next is Seminar on Primary and Work Oriented Education 1970. ಇದ್ರ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನು? ಈ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ನ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದಂಥ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನು? ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಮತ್ತು ವರ್ಕ್ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನಂದರೆ, ದ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ ಆನ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ವಾಸ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್. As a part of the program for the celebration of the International Education Year, it was organized to take stock of the trends of development in the field of pre-primary and primary education during the 60s and to formulate programs and policies for the improvement of in the 70s. The seminar was organized in New Delhi and from November 9th to 11th, 1970 with Professor SVC Iyer, Director, National Council of Education Research and Training, as a chairman of organizing committee. ಸೊ ಈ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ 60ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು 70ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಥರ 60ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಟ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತೋ 70ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ವಿಷಯವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ನ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದು 1970ಯಲ್ಲಿ. ದೆನ್ ಈ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ರೆಕಮೆಂಡೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಏನೇನು ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, 70ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ನಡೆದಿತ್ತು, ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ ನಡೆದಿತ್ತು. ಅದು ರೆಕಮೆಂಡೇಷನ್ಸ್, ಏನೇನು ರೆಕಮೆಂಡೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. Here, the program of pre-primary education be closely related to the home and community environment of the child. The expansion of the program of pre-primary education may be left to the care of the voluntary agencies. The agencies engaged in preschool education should try to develop less costly equipment with the help of indigenous maternal community resources if fully utilized. Necessary additions or modifications in primary school teacher training program should be made to include principles governing child care and preschool education as to enable the primary school teacher to look after preschool programs in mixed schools. The state government should be in a position to provide funds for the purpose of training teachers and specially trained supervisors for pre-primary education. Special attention should be paid to the promotion of the following Gandhian values in primary school. The next, while taking steps for providing work experience at primary stage, the following details to be put into point. Formulation of operational concept of work experience, types of work experience programs, minimum work experience programs, action programs, pre-service and in-service training, grade to work experience, steps to take for the mobilization of public opinion in favor of work experience. Work experience should be socially meaningful. It should be realistic physical work without overemphasis on economic aspects or the cost of learning outcomes. Individual school might be encouraged to develop their own programs of work experience, and the results of their program might be made available to the various agencies and institutions in the country. The agencies for curriculum development at the center and state level may start a continuous dialogue on programs and techniques of curriculum development. In order to improve the competence of teachers, the following steps are taken. Suitable in-service and pre-service training courses may be developed by each state government. Suitable materials as help books and teacher guides may be developed by state institutes education. NCERT should take up programs on development of good techniques of teaching for primary school classes and make the same available to the state level agencies. Efforts may be made to institute the programs of close supervision of schools to provide guidance to working teachers. The teachers, supervisors, and parents may be made conscious of the rate of wastage, stagnant, and efforts may be made for identification and proper treatment. The government grant policy should develop an initiative to exploit one's own resources finance, even though the government has to be main source of financing the primary education in future. The local bodies should exploit the sources of revenue fully for primary education. Steps to improve the ashram school education may be taken. The teacher community relation may be improved. So these are the recommendation, and many more recommendations are given in your notes, so you can refer to it. So these are the recommendations that are done in the seminar of work oriented education on primary. The next is Seminar on Gandhian Values in Education 1970. Introduction. The national seminar was organized by Ministry of Education and Youth Service in collaboration with the Maharashtra government and the Hindustani Talim Asang to discuss some important facts of the programs related to Gandhian values in Indian education. It was inaugurated by V.K.R.V. Rao, Union Minister of Education and Youth Services. It was presided over by Sri Sriman Narayan, Governor of Gujarat. It was convinced at Sevagram when Gandhian first put forward his concept of Nai Talim. It was blessed by the begin presence of Acharya Vinoba Bhave. It was held from February 9 to 11, 1970. Major recommendation. First is fundamental values. The ultimate objective which Gandhiji has in view was the evolution of non-exploitative, non-violent society conducive to the welfare of all. To this end, it is essential to emphasize three fundamental values in education. Example, that is first is dignity of manual labor through of work as a part of educational program. Next is sense of social awareness and social responsibility through the involvement of students and teachers in meaningful programs of community service. Next is the promotion of a secular outlook or Sarvadharma Samabhava through an understanding of fundamental unity of all religions. The next is programs of implementation. So the programs are suitable programs should be involved in the planning and implementation, safai and maintenance of campus, participation in sowing and harvesting operations through suitable adjustment of vacations, participation in productive work in agricultural or operations in school, family farms, or of the neighbors. The next is the programs have an obvious significance at the primary stage because about 70 million uh, children are involved. At the secondary stage, the programs of work experience should be highlighted. At the university stage, the national service program should be generalized. It is essential to produce books for children to teach Sarvadharma Samabhava. All students should be introduced to the life and message of Mahatma Gandhi through suitable courses. The success of these programs will largely depend upon the efficiency and proper orientation of training institution of teachers, the quality of leadership provided by education department, and the extent to which program becomes a movement undertaken by the community of teachers themselves. The realization of Gandhian values in education needs an elastic and dynamic system of education and its proper development. The efforts of educational system to realize these values will need support from parents and the community in general. An appropriate Lokashakti Sana program to this end should therefore be simultaneously developed.